Welcome to Vinyl Junkies versus Discogs round 3. We're here with Mr. Jeffrey Smith of Discogs, and we're going to talk about not only Discogs stuff today, but Gearogs, because I have a story behind that. But first, let's let Jeff say hi. Jeffrey, hi.
Hello. How's everyone doing today? Or more importantly, how are you doing today?
I'm in there, dude, man. Anytime I'm able to broadcast and nerd out about music, gear, that kind of deal, I'm happier than a pig in shit. This is what I was meant to do, brother. Hey, guys, can you do me a favor, please? Those of you that are watching... Whoa! Whoa! I'm speaking too loud for him. Can somebody confirm that Jeffrey's voice is coming through okay and not kind of like all garbled? That's always an issue that we have sometimes with the tech. I think it should be fine, but if you can check that out. So, visit Discogs.com. If your collection isn't in there, it should be. A future episode that me and Jeffrey were speaking about is maybe coming up with a live Discogs 101, you know, kind of like 5 reasons you should join Discogs, that kind of thing. What do you think, Jeff?
I'm down for it. Absolutely.
Okay. So can I tell you my story as to why I have questions about Gearogs?
Go right ahead.
Now I can basically tell it's going to get... I have a turntable here, okay? It's a Techniques. I have 2 wheels of steel, okay? But they came from different places, okay? So I have a Techniques that I bought somewhere else, and then I have a Techniques SL1210 MSG. Now, the thing with Techniques turntables is that they have all those little codes, and they're all a certain generation, and figuring it all out can get really complicated. And the turntables can go from a couple of $100 or several $100 to several $1,000.
Right.
Now, this turntable was lent to me by Jeff of Third Side Music. He runs a publishing company and used to run Ninja Tune Records as well. And I can now probably say, it can be told that this turntable that has serviced me so well, and I must give back now, once appeared on the Nine Inch Nails tour. So it has actually made an appearance and played as in the opening slot for Nine Inch Nails US tours. It's during the tour that The Bug actually toured with Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails, like Trent Reznor, is really good about taking kind of like unknown acts, or just basically, you know, providing his tour as a stage for like acts that aren't all that well known. The Bug was still, he was known, but not huge type of thing. Obviously, putting him up, you know, with on a Nine Inch Nails tour takes it to another level. And this turntable was utilized, Jeffrey. I can see that you're, my story, you are wrapped with attention. I can see.
I'm totally wrapped, dude. Nine Inch Nails.
So, and
turntable was on tour.
Correct.
Bunch of
and now I got to replace it. Because he wants it back. I thought this would be with me forever, but I had to take a couple of minutes because this is Vinyl Junkies lore. You understand? And the fact that you looked bored as shit during the entire time will just make it so that...
Dude, it's so hard because I can't see you. You know this.
I know. I don't even know.
Talking to a green dot on my computer screen. What I'm gonna do is, for the next one, I'm gonna get a picture of you and I'm gonna put it on my Mac.
Yes.
And your eye will be the little green dot. It'll be like Terminator version of you.
You see? That's Jeffrey. That is why I like doing shows with you. Not necessarily because you're chock full of musical information, but you work with the most important vinyl distributor on the net. That's fair. And you got a fair bit of dumbass in you, and that's entertaining. So
I probably got a lot more dumbass in me than anything else.
You know, so I figure we'll stumble our way through this entire thing and tell people something. So check. My deal is that this turntable, I got to put it back in the box and I got to send it off.
Right.
I need a new turntable.
Dude, I got the police for you. I know exactly where you can get one.
Okay, but the thing is I'm new to the site and I got questions. I got all sorts. So we're going to go through that with you if that's okay. Okay, and you'll try to sort me out. Okay, First thing, actually, I got a turntable already. I found one immediately on a local guy. No, but still, it leads to Gearogs. Okay, actually, here, let me tell it so that Gearogs looks like more of the hero. I'm looking for another 1200 or another 1210 or another whatever. Okay. I figure that's got to be one of the most obvious pieces of gear that's going to wind up at Gearogs, right? And basically it works exactly the same way as Discogs in the sense that you guys are basically creating a user-submitted database of all the gear that's known to exist.
Correct.
How long has this been happening?
Gearogs just turned a year old, the database, just a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So for a fair amount of time.
Okay. No, hey, well, no, dude, a year, you know. The deal, because I want to know, it's kind of like, okay, now I need this turntable. How can I use Gearogs in a way that'll help me have that? You see, for me, my first concern, because I'm looking for a 1200, for example, is you guys have 15,000 pieces of gear, I think, up to now, right? But these turntables get beat to shit. Now, they're built like tanks. They're fantastic turntables, but they get beat to shit. And they get fixed 1,000 times, and people change the arm. They do a whole bunch of things. What I'm saying is sometimes when it comes to these turntables, especially the old ones, they're hard to track. You don't know where they've been. You don't know what's been modified. You don't know if they've spent thousands of, tens of thousands of hours being knocked around from one place to another, or if somebody used it as I don't know, let's say an audiophile turntable.
Right, yeah, like I have an LP 120 that I yanked
Audio-Technica
out of.
Okay.
Yeah, an Audio-Technica AT-LP 120. I yanked the preamp out of it order to bypass the whole thing and sent it through a Cambridge Duo.
Cambridge Audio Duo. Okay.
It's much better.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the preamp in there. It's just look, the preamp's not the best part of the LP 120 for sure.
We're saying this, and it's like we're saying it because people legitimately have questions when it comes to gear. And look, I've tried many phono stages, okay, from the really high-end stuff, just even dollar for value. The phono stages that come with the LP120, with the Audio-Technica AT-LP120, is a built-in phono stage that's functional, and that's it. Not more than that. They have these little boxes made by a company called Pile Audio, same thing, completely functional, but your stuff's not going to sound good. So what you did, for example, to remove, to basically bypass the phono stage and put it through something that's built specifically for that purpose, not built just to serve utility, right?
Right.
So that you can kind of like upgrade if you want afterwards. You kind of like buy the, you buy the LP 120, you use it, and then when you have a little bit of money, you buy it. You buy a proper phono stage.
Right. No, I mean, your audio gear is as much a journey as your collection. Your collection grows as you're more into the format. You're going to want to upgrade and get new cartridges. Look at upgrading your turntable at some point. All of that is part of the journey for sure.
And do you sell cartridges also? Like, for example, right? If I wanted to buy an Artophon Bronze, which is actually a cartridge I do have my eye on right now. Okay, there's a million places to get them, obviously, but is it just for people to buy, kind of like we have over here in Canada a pretty big place called Canuck Audio Mart that does very well. It's very trusted, right? And they'll sell gear and stuff. Our suppliers, like you guys, for example, have people who can vendors who can sell their records, basically have a virtual record store and sell anything. Can people sell cartridges as well?
They could if they chose to be a seller on the site, right? So it's still relatively new, and the audience is building there. Where, for example, Ortophon. If you go onto Ortophon's page on Gearogs, there's a lot of their cartridges, stylus, and other accessories. Their tone arms that are all listed there because it's functionally a database first, right? So not unlike the Discogs database that's there to catalog every physical music release in the world, the same thing with Gearogs. It's that catalog, it's that database for all of the physical gear, turntables, cartridges, guitar effects pedals,
And
keyboards, all that stuff is kind
it's
of all
new
under
and
one thing.
vintage, right? It's new and
New
vintage,
and
same
vintage, it
deal.
doesn't matter. Same thing as Discogs. It could be a brand new turntable that came out yesterday, or it could be one that's, if there's a 200-year-old turntable, it could be there as well. So, as it is developing as a database and a marketplace, it's, continual submissions, new contributors coming in, people discovering the marketplace and looking to buy and sell across that
Gotcha.
as well. So there's that too. Like, we just did a report, a state of the data report on our what we're calling our meta sites, which is Gearogs, Bookogs,
Posterogs, right?
Posterogs, Filmogs, all that stuff.
Okay.
So specific to Gearogs, because it's we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary there. There's the most collected gear, most wanted piece of gear on this, and I can drop this link into the comments here. I'll do that right now, and so people can see that. And what it is you're talking about the 1200, the Techniques SL 1210 and the 1200 are the number 1 and 2 most collected pieces of gear in the database there right now.
I'm not surprised at all.
Oh, I'm not surprised either. The LP120 is down at number 10. There's the TR8 drum machine that Roland made is number 3. There's a couple of Korg, or 3 different Korg, Volca keys, bass, and beats that are
can I tell you
as well.
This is kind of completely off, but can I just give you a little hack that'll make your LP120 sound even better? And it's not going to it's not going to do anything for Gearogs at all. Actually, it might, because if they had what you do is there's a product online. Look it up. It's called Dynamat. Okay, it's basically deadener. It's really, really heavy deadener. Okay, and what they do is they take that for soundproofing, and they'll put it, let's say when you're doing car stereo, they'll put it in the inside of the doors and put it into like the ceiling. It depends on how crazy you get with your audio, right? But what it'll do is it'll just basically shut the thing off acoustically. The big problem that I have with the LP120, okay, and I've played with it, and look, I know I'm going to catch flack for it, but I'm not satisfied with that thing at all. But it could be fixed. Okay, one of the things is that if you knock on it, you'll notice that the plinth is made of plastic, so it's hollow. Okay. What happens is that that's an echo chamber. So as this stuff is going on, it's an echo chamber. Obviously, that's gonna resonate right back into your cartridge. So what it is that you can do is, just by adding weight, just by deadening that area, what you do is immediately you're gonna see a difference in acoustic, because you're deadening that echo chamber, and it's not echoing anymore, right? It's not hollow anymore. So there's this stuff called Dynamat. Okay, what you do is you cut it out, and it's kind of like tacky on one side, and it's kind of like this really, really heavy stuff and you just glue it to the insides. You have to undo your turntable, obviously, but just glue it to the insides of your turntable, anywhere that it'll fit, as long as it doesn't touch any of the mechanism. But you glue all of those plastic parts. What you're doing is you're taking cheap plastic that you knock on, and literally you can hear the echo happening. You do that, and all of a sudden, what happens? What happens when you what happens when you have good acoustic paneling in a door? You don't hear what's going on the highway. Same exact thing with your turntable. It's cheap. Well, under $50, let's say.
Right.
Dude, it'll change your turntable completely. I am not even fucking around.
That's amazing. I mean, just taking the preamp out changed it a lot for me, so I'll have to try that. Or I could just put spray foam in there and see what happens too.
No, because you want density. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, dude, the thing is you have a propensity for being a dumbass, and I don't know when you are and when you're being serious. You understand?
No,
I'm not trying to challenge those precious few IQ points. You understand?
Please don't. I only have so many left.
No, but the other way you can do it actually is to put clay or something. But you want that platter to be as heavy as possible, and it will make a difference.
Well, the 120 is pretty heavy as it is. But dude, it's like interesting enough, I was just at the Expona conference up in Chicago
Yeah, you were
last
mentioning.
month. Yeah. And the amount of like audiophile turntables, like there was, is it Vernon Roby? That's a manufacturer. He has one that's made out of cast iron. That thing must have weighed 150 pounds.
Mm.
It was ridiculous.
Well, dude, the
Um,
how much it weighs
but when
does
you're
make a difference.
listening to that stuff on, oh, it does. I mean, I don't think that there was any empty space inside of that thing for sure. But it was amazing to me, just the sound differences. But you're listening to that stuff on $100,000
Sure.
systems. Stuff that people like you and I are not going to be able to afford.
No, but it's
Right?
not even that. You know what the thing is I don't even want it. I want functionality up to a certain point.
Right.
Like I work in this room, right? So that's why I'm looking right away at the MK1200s, because I know
Right.
what they are. I know they're beasts. I just want to make sure that they're not fucked around with. And that's where it's kind of like, as Gearogs gets a little older, those seller ratings are going to mean a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're going to mean everything. The other example that I have is that I actually, like I said, I was looking for a turntable here locally, and I found one. But the thing is, dude, I have no information. I don't even remember the name. I think it's called what I don't know what it, Electro something. I looked it up on Discogs. It doesn't exist. Dude, this table, the guy told me weighs 20 pounds. It's got one of those, those platters like the Thorens, the floating platters. Okay. Usually when a turntable's got a floating platter, that's a good turntable, right? Because it absorbs what's it called? Shock. It absorbs vibration. So this thing's brand new. The tone arm looks like, the guy told me the tone arm is excellent. He's there, like, comparable to the Techniques. He wants $50 for it. And get this is the catch, dude. It's made in Korea. Not North or South Korea. It's before all that shit, so it's from the 70s.
Dude, why did you buy it?
Oh, dude, I'm waiting for my wife to come home with the car. I'm fucking straight there. Immediately. I gotta know what this... Even if it winds... And you know that it won't be, okay? Because it's a turntable from the 70s, so right away, the gear is a lot more. It weighs more. It's made better. But Korea wasn't exactly a manufacturing giant either. Who the fuck even heard of this turntable before? Just to find out what I'm gonna get, I gotta know what a Korean turntable sounds like.
Dude, you have to submit that to the Gearogs database for sure, so it's just there.
What you need,
let me know what that thing sounds like when you get it up and running.
I'm very excited, and can I be like completely honest with you? It's a little bit of a dick thing, or maybe not, right?
Right.
He wanted $50 for it. I think just in scrap iron, it's worth more than that. It's just like, dude, the thing is, it's got to be, right? So I kind of like just concocted this entire story. I use my daughter whenever I can to great effect. My daughter's just getting into vinyl, so I want to get her up. This turntable will be perfect to get her started with. Oh, you have a daughter, you see, because I can't be the only guy who sees the ad and realizes this is a deal and a half.
Right.
So I throw in the daughter, I throw in the birthdays. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll save it for you. Good. She's got a stack of Madonna records that are just waiting to be played on them. Meanwhile,
so you lied to him.
My daughter has no fucking clue that I'm getting any turntable, nor that I need a turntable.
Right.
But you have to secure the deal. You understand? So
right.
I'm not beyond a couple of white lies. I have a question about Gearogs as well. May I?
Yep. Go right ahead.
Is there going to be any? This one becomes really important because it's unlike records, which already there's the shipping problem. When you're shipping gear, it's far more delicate. It weighs a whole lot more. There's a whole lot of stuff. Some of the stuff weighs a lot. There's freight charges and a million different things that don't necessarily apply to buying CDs, tapes, or vinyl.
Right.
Are you guys going to have any type of filter there that allows people to check according to their proximity? The reason I ask is because I buy old gear. I have old
Mhm.
gear from everywhere, and I never used Gearogs. So I'm asking literally as somebody who's a client here or a potential
Mhm.
client.
Mhm.
Uh,
I think as the site grows and becomes more developed, and like anything that we do, we iterate and listen to the community and make changes in accordance to what the community wants.
mhm.
That I'm sure that will be on the radar at some point.
Okay.
It's the portion of Gearogs is still so new that, for example, for right now, there are looks like a little over 100 items for sale in the marketplace, and a lot of those are turntables right now. So it's still, you got to look at it as it's still kind of, even though it's a year old, it's very much a beta version of the site
Oh yeah,
still,
sure. I
right? So it's one of those things that's continuing to grow.
It's one of those things also that you have to kind of plug into the community. And if anything, you know what? Considering that you're here trying to plug Discogs or whatever, thank you for allowing me to talk about Gearogs, because
Mhm.
if you guys really want to serve the purpose of serving the community, you have to understand what their needs are. One question that we get at Vinyl Junkies all the time, Jeffrey, is
Mhm.
I have a budget. I have this much. What do you want to buy? Okay.
Right,
The
right.
answer is always the same thing. The answer is if you
Mhm.
wait, okay, and you keep your eye on certain turntables, look locally, you're going to find a deal that's way better than anything you're going to buy new.
Right.
It's just economy, right?
Right. No, I
If
mean that's the first, few years of my existence in this ecosystem was, when I was first buying records again and getting it I got a newer turntable, I didn't like it. Immediately started going through all the older like vintage gear,
oh yeah,
and it would be, I got a Marantz 6100.
beauty.
Um,
There you go.
it was awesome,
Silver
but
silver
it
phase.
kept breaking. So I spent another, $500-600 getting this thing fixed,
I got you.
multiple times, and then it's like diminished returns. Do you fall in love with that used gear, and that's your thing, and that's when I made the move to the LP 120, and then started kind of customizing it as I went along, as I learned more and more about it. That may not be a bad topic for us to address at some point. It's like, I wonder if we could give a handful of people, like, here's $500 or here's $1,000, like, build your setup to listen to records on that much money.
Brother, the thing is that we're here, what both of us on our
Right,
sides, we're here to serve the community. None of this exists if it wasn't for the people that are watching and people that buy the records. That's it.
right,
Okay,
right.
we serve people who love music. The reason it is that I'm so interested in this is because people do need the information. This is new to most people.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so think about it. It becomes such an easy thing because, well, they want the information. I would love to do an episode, for example, and I will do an
Mhm.
episode on cartridges, for example, or I'll do an episode on turntables or whatever. Now, during the course of something like that, you're going to mention this product and that product. People have to buy stuff. People who
Right,
collect vinyl have no trouble buying stuff. We all buy stuff. Our budget goes there. We just want to make sure that we're buying the right thing. So
right.
how easy is it to put together a program that informs, okay, with a link
Right.
saying, you know what, this is what I'm talking about. These are the thoughts. And it doesn't exist in vinyl, really. You know?
Not really. I mean, we do a pretty good job of directing people to, kind of filling out their collection. Like, we've got a few like
Articles?
vinyl guides where it's like, an intro, like like a vinyl guide for beginners. Like, I think there's a kind of a pop rock version and a jazz version, and there's other pieces that's coming along. I think there's a reggae one in the pipeline that we'll put out relatively soon, and at least giving our audience an idea of records outside of the normal, like, go buy Prince's Purple Rain or go buy the Beatles' Sergeant Pepper's, like things that are on the fringe of those like classic records that are other pieces that you you want to pick up. Like, for example, everybody's, well, the push by the Clash, like for London Calling, right? Like, fantastic record, but really, if I were to go into that discography, I think Combat Rock is as good as any. So, it's just one of those things where just kind of pushing, or not pushing, but making people aware of what's out there beyond like the easy stuff. So when it comes to gear, dude, I had the same problem. It's like there's so much that, what's something that I can get that's within my budget that's going to be solid.
I'll tell you one thing that I think we pride ourselves on. I know that I pride myself on with Vinyl Junkies is I don't bullshit the audience, okay? Right. I know that they want to buy. I know that they spend. What my job is to make sure that I get them information that's, worth making a spend on, right? When you're looking, right. when you're looking to buy a product, what, I don't know, let's say you're buying a cell phone, for example, right? Okay.
Right.
What moves your decision to buy that more? Is it, let's say, the CNET review, or is it the Amazon user review?
It's the cultural status that it allows me to climb to when I'm buying a mobile phone.
This motherfucker, I ask him serious questions and all of a sudden he's becoming a smartass. And the problem is, you know what's going to happen, dude? The entire conversation goes off the rails because you know that I can answer them shits. You're awesome. You're awesome. Look, it's very simple. What it is that I'm saying is, okay, you have the information here. Make it easier for the clients to be able to go from here to there. Just connect those dots in a way that creates a very fluent experience for anybody that watches the show without having to jump through a bunch of hoops. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with Vinyl Junkies. And that's what I'm kind of hoping that not only Discogs, but also Gearogs will be able to. I think that you would find a really nice niche. I know that it's a niche that I'm actively looking to fulfill. If you just worked with, whether it be a podcast or whether it be other groups or whatever, which allow, give them the infrastructure a little bit to be able to connect those dots.
Right.
Because we need you. We do.
Well, no, what I should do is have Jess come on the next time and have her talk about Gearogs and all their plans and what they're doing. And, suggest a lot of these things and let your audience kind of, inform them on what, they would like to see out of it, That
actually might be the best answer, Jeffrey, because considering it's a year old, you're right.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing that you can do is ask the audience themselves directly. And I mean, that's why programming like this exists. Guys, is there anything that you want when you're buying gear? Is there anything that you look for? It's a new, Gearogs is a new site. You have a chance to actually have your feedback mean something. For me, the first thing I would say automatically is geographical location is extremely important. So some kind of postal code or zip code lookup makes an enormous difference, because a local pickup versus having it mailed is the...
Oh, that's a differentiator for sure.
That's a differentiator.
When gear is just expensive to ship, dude. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I wanna call something out that I've been wanting to say for about 20 minutes, and then Skylar Mendel just wrote it.
Go for it. Go for it.
That's a shitload of Impulse records behind your shoulder,
dude. I'm an old fucking man. Here, look at that. And can I tell you something else? The shelf going the other way is all Impulse too, so it's not just the orange and black. I've been collecting that shit since forever, and I've been talking about spine porn since forever. I'm happy to see that labels are picking up on it because we want our shelves to look nice.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% jealous. So
yeah,
because basically Impulse is literally a thing that you go into any shop or any flea market, and if you don't know who the artist is because it's on Impulse, buy it.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll just get anything. I mean, I discovered Shirley Scott through Impulse. Shirley Scott's an organ player who was married to Stanley Turrentine. Now, I've known Stanley Turrentine since forever because he's got the Blue Note career. Yeah, right? But when you're thinking of organ players, I think of Jimmy McGriff, I think of Jimmy Smith, I think of these guys instead. Out comes
Right.
out a Shirley Scott record, which I would have never picked up, but it was on Impulse, because Impulse always stood for the avant-garde. They always pushed things a little bit, right?
Right.
Even beyond the avant-garde, even as they were going into the 70s, they really got into the entire civil rights movement, Black Power, all the rest of this stuff, you know. But you pick up the record and you find out, hey, wait a second, Stanley Turrentine's on this too. Okay, it can't be that bad of a record. He's a good saxophone player. And then you find out that they've been married since forever. And if you look through their catalog, whether it's got a Shirley Scott name on it or it's got a Stanley Turrentine record on it, these two have played with each other practically throughout their entire careers. And unlike a lot of jazz couples or just music couples, they seem to have lived happily too and existed as a couple quite well as well, you know?
Right.
You don't mind that I talk about music during the show sometimes, right?
Oh no, I just really hate talking about music.
Okay, no, I was just wondering, you know.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, thanks, man.
No problem.
I've listened to every one of those Impulse records, and I love them, and I want them, and people collect Blue Notes. I actually always collected Impulse over Blue Note.
Yeah.
Because
I feel that I do that too. Again, anytime I see an Impulse release, and I come from a jazz studies background, and I can not
bass
that
player,
I'm
right?
Yeah, I'm I'm a retired former upright and electric player.
Who's your favorite bass player?
Oh, Edgar Meyer, because he can do both. He can do classical and jazz, and
wait a second. You just name dropped somebody I don't know. I'm very interested. Tell me about
you
Edgar
don't know
Meyer.
who Edgar Meyer is?
Please, dude, educate me. Tell me, who's Edgar Meyer?
So Edgar Meyer is he's this Nashville dude that is just a beast on the upright bass. So he's one of the few that can walk across classical music, folk, like bluegrass. So he'd been playing earlier with like Mark O'Connor and Bela Fleck. Both of those guys, the same thing. They can go across multiple genres, and he's just an amazing bassist.
Wait a second. So, are you telling me here that he played? Hold on.
He knows the full orchestral.
Dude, are you telling me that he played? What?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Did he play with Bela Fleck at the same time as Wooten?
Oh, no, not in Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. Look at Bela and anything he's done, like kind of outside.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
right, because that's Victor Wooten.
I mean, that's Victor Wooten, right?
An easy way to learn about Edgar Meyer is go to the Discogs database and type in Edgar Meyer, and his whole entire discography is there.
What labels did he record for? Do you know?
It looks like he's on Sony Classical. He's on None Such with Chris Thiele.
You said what I needed to hear.
Let me give you this. Like here's the easiest way to put it in perspective. Edgar Meyer did a record called Appalachian Waltz with Yo-Ma.
Oh, okay.
Turns around, does a record with Chris Thiele, or several records with Chris Thiele. So there's two exceptional players in totally different genres, right? So you've got, this classically trained cello player and this kind of folky, bluegrassy mandolin player, right? So it's like there's that differentiate, or the fact that they're across different genres.
Gotcha.
But no, dude, it's like Edgar Meyer will blow your mind. Like in like the late 90s, he put that Appalachian Waltz record out with
I've heard that from Tidal. The title says something to me. Who were the other players on it? Do you know?
Mark O'Connor and Yo-Yo Ma. And it ended up being I think someone turned it into a ballet and used it. It might be like the National Ballet, I'm not for sure. But so that's been taken into other art forms as well. Bela and Edgar have this record called Music for Two that was out on Sony Classical in like mid 2000s. So no, I mean, it's like, dude, it's kind of amazing to watch him kind of walk across different things like that.
Well, look, for me, you caught me at non-such. Anything on non-such, immediately, anything on non-such gets consideration for me. As it is that you were talking, what it is that I was trying to do is show people exactly how cool and knowledgeable I am. I'm very insecure. So I had to show that while you were talking, at all times, somewhere within my perimeter, I have a non-such record. That's how important
Nice.
it is to me. And I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it except for the very last fucking place. And yes, I was right. Clint Mansell featuring the Kronos Quartet doing the soundtrack to Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream. That wound up on non-such too. And that's like what I love so much about that label is that they weren't afraid to cross genres. So classical became embroiled with early electronic music. The earliest electronic records were released on non-such. Right?
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, yeah, definitely, dude. There's one record. I can't remember the exact one. There's a box set. I don't remember the names of the artists, but I do have it. But Morton Subotnick's, like, what's the name of that? Silver Apples on the Moon. 1967. We're talking about some of the earliest stuff. And what's cool about non-such is that they were the types of labels that it wasn't just a question of, you know what, we're going to release a record because we can make so much money. You know what I'm saying? What it is that they did is they curated. So what they did is they basically sponsored these musicians and basically, what's the word that I'm looking for? They paid to have this music composed by artists that were completely on the cutting edge and just
so
sounded
they were
like nothing
essentially
else.
the patrons of modern,
Yes,
the modern time patrons of the arts.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And to me, when a label goes to that point, okay, it's not just a question of Atlantic Records because, you know, there's the Purple label and there's all that stuff, Aretha Franklin and all the other, the Rolling Stone, all the other labels, right? When you're talking about a label like Non-Such or Deutsche Grammophon or Impulse for that matter, these guys have spent decades taking chances on stuff that's never existed before. No one's ever heard it before. It sounds unlike anything you've ever heard before, and it's never been put together in that way. And they put their money on it and just say, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do this because that's what art is. Non-Such represents one of those labels. So this bassist whose name you got to give me, I got to search him out. You know why? Because Non-Such.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's it. Again, I'll drop it in the comments of the thing if anyone wants to look them up.
Definitely.
I've got the link. It's right there. I'm posting as myself, not as Discogs. So there's he's in there. For sure.
Might as well have a conversation about bassists. Right? We can do that.
Yeah, no, we can do that. I can talk about that stuff all day long.
Okay, so
let's talk about Jaco.
You want to talk about Jaco? Okay, actually, Jaco is going to be the case in point, right? Because Jaco's always the high water. It's almost like there's musician bassists and what musicians look for in music. And then there's what people that listen to music look for in bass in music. And then there's something a little bit in between. The reason it is that I ask is that you see it a lot in fusion and you see it a lot, obviously, in stuff like Jaco. Technical proficiency is only one part of the equation, right?
Right. No, and so a great bass player or a great musician isn't only technically proficient. The thing about, sorry, I'm dropping this link into your...
About Jaco? No, I guess what I'm saying is that sometimes, you know what, it doesn't have to be that complicated, and bassists don't have to necessarily break their thumbs back so that they can play like Jaco, you know? Because sometimes it's really just as simple as the bass is the foundation of music. It's the heartbeat, the bass and the drum. So you can just...
So Sting has this quote, and I lived and died by this as a bass player. Everyone in the band can be playing a C major chord, right? It's only a C major chord if, as a bass player, I play a C. If I drop down to an A, all of a sudden it's an A minor seventh. And I'm the one in charge. I'm the boss. I make that chord structure happen, and no one else can go lower than me so they cannot disturb the foundation that I'm building on top, like below them, in order for them to create the
No matter what happens, that's the
no matter what
base.
happens.
That's the base. And sometimes, you know what? You don't have to be any more complicated than, I think, Nile Rodgers. All you got to do is just lay the same motherfucking line all the way through and just stick to it. Or are you familiar? Obviously, you're familiar with Larry Graham, but are you familiar with the Sly and the Sly and the Family Stone album, Stand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there's a song there that's it's my favorite funk instrumental without any question. I'm talking about Sex Machine.
Okay.
And you listen to that. I mean, there's a slow buildup and everything. It's a 13-minute or 14-minute instrumental jam that's pretty clear these guys are fucking spaced out on whatever they're spaced out on because, you know, Sly liked drugs. But
right.
The point I was trying to make is that throughout that entire thing, throughout that 13 minutes, throughout that entire buildup of the song, Larry Graham, man, and you know he's the godfather of the slap bass, but no, it's not just
right.
Boom, 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 boom,
right.
boom, 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 and that's it.
As Bootsy Collins put it, you want that tiptoe funk.
Yeah, you got it. That's what I'm talking.
Bootsy could slap it, but then it's like he's got to every now and then you got to get up and play that tiptoe.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of, for me, it's the bass equivalent of the Bernard Purdie lick, the Bernard Purdie shuffle. You know, they're just that little. You know what I mean? It's kind of. He's keeping the same type of beat, but there's something there. There's just that little thing that just keeps the wave going. Just keeps the wave going.
I mean, the king of that is Paul Chambers.
Well, yeah, but that's jazz, of course. That's another. That's an absolute other world, right? Well, and then there's the crossovers, dude. We got bass to talk about.
So much bass.
Yeah, man. What's your favorite bass album of all time?
It's got to be Jocko's solo record.
The one with his face?
Yeah, the black and white.
The black and white one?
Yeah, it's a self-titled. It came out in like 76. Now this is why it's my favorite album, my favorite bass player's album. And I'll drop this link in the thing so people can check it out while we're talking about it, because you can just click on the links there and
you're a better multitasker than me.
Yeah. So the great thing about it is Jocko does a version of Charlie Parker's Donna Lee on that record. It's like it's Kunga, and it's Jocko playing the head of Donna Lee, which is an alto sax player, and it's not impossible play. People play it, but it's very challenging because you're playing on 4 strings, and it's that a saxophone is playing. So dexterity. If you want to work on dexterity and musicality at the same time, like mastering the song is incredibly important, because you can play it. You can technically play it, but then can you actually play it? Because playing the notes is one thing, and there's a challenge there. But then playing the amount of notes that song takes you to, and playing it musically, is 3 other levels above being able to actually play it, right? So I spent 3 years in college trying to master that song to the point that I could play it without thinking about playing it, to where it just came out of me as a statement rather than focusing, because it was so damn hard to play. So I don't know whether I ever achieved that or anything like that, because right in the middle of that stuff, I got totally burned out on jazz for other reasons. But the main thing was that was the goal. So I listened to that record a billion times. It's just like slaughters me. So I literally could, if anybody ever walked up to me and said, "All right, dude, here's the deal. I'll give you $10 million.
10 million?
$10 million. You can sing me the entirety of Donna Lee from front to back right now, including the solo," I could totally do it.
This is so frustrating.
It's awful. It's a curse. So, but no, that record is fantastic because not only you get Donna Lee at the very top of that record, but there's a song called "Come On Over" that's like perfect opposition to that song, where it's like you've got this very technical jazz song, the very next song is this like funk soul thing, and it's the perfect like juxtaposition of like that dude as a whole.
You know who's putting out an album this year?
Who?
Michelle. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, she's awesome.
Michelle and the Gearogs is putting out
what's
an
great about
album.
her, dude, is that
everything is great about her. Everything.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are great about her. Just tonality of her voice and the way that she sings over the changes that she writes is pretty incredible, dude. Like her feel, like she's easily one of the best bass players of her generation.
She's got a deep pocket.
Just based on, dude, she lives inside the kick drum.
Yeah.
Like that was always my goal. Like when I transitioned out of jazz and doing like rock shit and stuff like that, it was like, I don't want to be flashy. I don't want to go do all this blah, blah, blah stuff. It's like, I want to take a pillow. Man. I want to take a pillow and lay inside the kick drum and just go to bed.
And what I wanted more than anything, what it is that she brought to the table more than anything during those late 80s, 90s is that she brought a move finally towards where my love was, which was R&B and hip hop, and a move away from that sterile 80s production where every instrument and every string can be heard, but it's all electrified, right? So it's not kind of like that pluck of a nylon string type of thing. It's not that kind of, it's just, you can hear the steel of the string, and it's not a sound that I went for too much, you know. Michelle and the Gearogs and music just in general, when it came to that, just started getting a little warmer, started heading a little bit towards another direction. She was awesome that way.
And it's just weird. Like she does weird shit. It's like, you know, that's what gets you going, man.
Yeah, and you know what? She was a woman, and she is a woman, and just a complete badass, you know. And this is before anybody really started understanding who Carol Kay is, right? Because Carol Kay, nobody knew her until, you know, documentaries and stuff. But we're talking about bass. Jeffrey, you know what we're gonna do? You got comments there, right? What you're gonna do is, if you can, let's give a T-shirt away. Are you good with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, pick one out because I don't see it. My system here, because I don't know how to do production and stuff, is I'm scared of checking on the net because then my streaming software will crash. Very professional, Jeffrey.
That's very solid.
So why don't you pick a winner?
Looks like to be honest with you, I can only see my comments. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
You, sir, are what we like to call.
Do I win another Discogs T-shirt because I can only see my own comments?
You are an industrial cock inhaler. I picked Morten Morch Thompson from Denmark. He loves the show. And Morten Morch Thompson, you gave away a T-shirt. Congratulations.
Hey, I want to turn you on to something.
Can I ask you a question before you turn me on to something?
Yeah.
I would like to preface what I'm going to ask you with, I don't trust you.
Okay.
You see,
all right.
We did this T-shirt stuff already. Now, I don't know. We picked a winner. We did all of that.
Right.
All I know is I'm an XXL. It's not like I didn't ask for a fucking T-shirt either.
Oh, so you want a T-shirt.
Listen,
I got you.
Dude, look at me. I need all the clothing I can get.
Will you wear... All right, I will send you a hoodie and a T-shirt if you wear the T-shirt during our segments together. Like me. I put this on specifically because
you realize that's...
I'm a brand loyal kind of dude.
Yeah, but then we're going to look like Hans and Franz, dude. That's fucking...
No, it'll be great. That's what works so magically about it.
Total like fucking douche chills. I mean, I would do it because I'm comfortable with being the guy that induces douche chills. It's something I am very adept at in my life.
And then every now and then we can just reach out at the camera like this and try to touch each other.
Holy fuck. Now you're getting...
It got
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
It got
Now, okay,
real
now,
weird
now all of
real
a sudden
quick.
the creative juices are starting to slow and flow. And Jeffrey, we gotta talk. Maybe we can sell some T-shirts over here. No,
Yeah, let's sell some t-shirts.
let's sell some T-shirts. The guy from Fubu, man, who's on Shark Tank, started
Yeah.
out selling T-shirts out of the back of his car.
Yeah.
Hustle. That man is nothing but hustle. All my respect. Who did okay, so we picked the winner. We're done, dude. We're done.
We
We're
done?
done. Yeah, that was fun.
It's good times. I like talking about bass players. I can do that all day.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Join us next month. We'll do another one. Hope you guys enjoyed the Gearogs episode. We will be putting it up on podcasts. It's already on vinyljunkies.co. If you have any questions, hey man, ask them. I know that Jeffrey answers the questions after the live broadcasts, and I look at them as well. So thanks for watching, and later. See ya.